Okay, now we'll start, Lens. Time being 7 o'clock, I call the Hastings City Council meeting to order. Please stand and state the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, and let the roll reflect that all of the members of the Hastings City Council are here and we have a quorum. Approval of minutes. Council members, are there any corrections to the minutes of the regular meeting on September 18th? Okay. Comments from the audience? Anyone wishing to speak to the council in the audience or via Zoom? And there is no one in Zoom, and there's no one in the council, so we can move on. Council items to be considered, and council, I'd like to add a resolution supporting city requests for the state bonding to the agenda. Can I hear a second? Councilmember Fulch? Okay. Any discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. 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 Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. Okay. We will see that later under administration. Council would accept a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilmember Pemble? And Councilmember House. Any discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. 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 Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. Okay, and that motion prevails. Tonight, under awarding of contracts and public hearing, we have a healthcare faculty revenue bonds. And for this item, we will have an introduction by City Administrator Dan Waticha, followed by a public hearing and a possible action by City Council. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. This is certainly of importance from a legal process, but from a practical standpoint, it really is not overly germane to the city of Hastings. Back around 2013, the city of St. Louis Park issued some conduit financing for Regina Senior Living for a number of sites throughout the state, including in the city of Hastings. A couple of years ago, in 2021, Regina desired to essentially refinance those bonds, and they worked with the City of Duluth's Economic Development Authority. And apparently here now, a couple of years later, there's a desire by Regina Senior Living to do some additional financing for a project here in Hastings, I believe also one in Winona and New Brighton. And because the location is here in Hastings, there needs to be a public hearing and a consent by the city, but we're not involved in the financing. There's no cost to us on the issuance. It has no bearing on our debt capacity or our bonding. It's because somebody else another municipality is doing a financial mechanism that has a geographic location in Hastings. It needs the city of Hastings consent to it. Can certainly try to take some questions on it, but really I think our role is more just the process to it. But open the public hearing, answer some questions, and if so inclined, there is a resolution recommended for adoption.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Council will first open the public hearing, and then we'll have discussion after. This time I will open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak to the council at this time? And no one on Zoom. Okay. I will close the public hearing and open the discussion for council. Council, any discussion? Okay, then I would look for a motion to accept approval of the resolution consenting to the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue bonds by the Duluth Economic Development Authority to finance a project in the city.
So moved, Your Honor.
Councilmember Fox and Councilmember House. Second. New or additional discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion has prevailed. Under Public Works tonight, Parks and Recreation, under Parks and Recreation, sorry, we have the levy recap for the summer of 2023. And with us, we have Paige from the Parks and Recs Department. Welcome, Paige.
Good evening, Council, and good evening, Mayor. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's hard to believe it's already the end of the season, and it's also hard to believe it's our 8th year of programming down at Levee Park. We just wrapped up our season down at Levee Park about 2 weeks ago. We did about 2.5 months of programs and events down at Levee, and I'm excited to share with you a few highlights from our season this summer. Similar to previous years, we utilized our communication platforms online and with our local media partners to get the word out about our program series this summer. Calendars were also distributed to local businesses and featured in the Rivertown newsletters. New this year, I spent time developing reels and stories for Facebook and Instagram to promote our events. Our platform analytics showed an average of 2,000 views per reel and an average of 550 views per story. So 2 new ways we're getting the word out about our programs events down at Levee Park here in Hastings. We also developed consistent branding for our events this year. So our postings that we did weekly, our event pages, our stories, our reels, and our programs postings on social. The top 2 ways people hear about our events is through social media and the Rivertown newsletter, and that data is gathered by myself authentically at events, through conversations, through tallies at events, and then through surveys that we do to outreach to our community. Our attendance continues to grow. We saw over 9,700 people attended our programs at the Rotary Pavilion in Levee Park this summer. Attendance varies depending on the type of program and then the weather, of course. We did have some challenges with the frequent unpredicted storms that popped up this summer, and some of those weather issues, including our air quality alert early this summer. But we only needed to cancel 3 events from June through September, so we were able to make a lot happen. We offered a variety of events this summer. The most popular events that we have at Levee Park have been our summer kickoff in June, our Party in the Park, and then our Music in the Park series, which is June through September. For our events, we continue to build our partnerships with local businesses and organizations and apply for grants to add to our program funding. Although we are not a recipient of grants for our programming this year, I've already applied for 2024 to increase our outside funding sources for next season to support our increasing attendance. And I want to express my appreciation for those sponsors. Ardent Mills here in Hastings, they sponsor our Movie in the Park series, so that includes all the licensing that we need to show our movies out in the public spaces. And Smead Manufacturing, they support our Performance in the Park series, which includes theater or comedy or creative arts and cultural performances. And Dakota Electric donated for our summer kickoff event, and the Ruth and George Joffing Charitable Fund, who sponsors our Music in the Park series. Our events and programs down at Levee Park are made possible by so many community members, community-minded businesses, organizations, individuals. We have over 72 partners that make our programs come alive in the summer. And I also want to thank you, Council, for your continued support. I'm very thankful for the past 8 years programming at Levee Park. I'm already looking forward to 2024. Another way that Levee Park is utilized is through our park rentals, and we're continuing to see a increase in rentals The rentals that we received this year was 52, but that's not a reflection of the amount of inquiries and park rental submissions that we receive. It's probably closer to about 90. There's only so many beautiful weekends, June, in the summertime where weather allows. So we have a lot of people interested in those Friday, Saturday, Sundays specifically. And one thing that our department and the city did at the beginning was breaking up the pavilion at Levee Park. For all of our other rentals in the city, we do full-day rentals. For Levee Park, we do half-day rentals, so we can do back-to-back. And our park staff facilitate that changeover for back-to-back rentals. One of my favorite comments that I receive from renters is what a gem that Hastings has down on the riverfront. And the space that I get to be a part of, I feel so lucky to be a part of that. And I'm appreciative of the city who prioritizes community. So thank you. And at this time, I can stand for any questions about our program series, about our funding, about our plans for 2024. Any questions you have?
Thank you, Paige. Council discussion, Councilmember Fulch.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Paige, for coming. I'm always so excited to hear from you and see you, and I think that we as a city are so lucky to have you personally on board.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for all of your service. We have now, for this last calendar year, we've had the Arts and Culture Commission, right? And so the year prior to that, I was the liaison to the Arts Task Force as we were brainstorming and such. And the group was really interested in being supportive of you in trying to help find music and cultural experiences and such. And so I would really encourage you to reach out to, the chair, which is Barb Hollenbach, right? And connect with her. And I'm not sure who the staffer is that's, on that right now. But I do know that they want to be a resource to you. And so I think that they would just be tickled if you reached out to them and, and offered like, hey guys, I have this all going on, looking for some feedback. Anyone want to help line up? And I think that you'd be really shocked because I know that some of the folks who were on the task force were really connected in the arts, community, be it music and performing arts and such. And so I think that they're a tremendous resource that could be utilized and help you out to make an even greater year. So thanks again for everything that you do.
Absolutely, yes. And the commission, the Arts and Cultural Commission is already very proactive, and we've already had a lot of conversations and fun things in the works and possibilities and partnerships to look forward to.
Awesome. Thanks for that follow-up. Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Fulch. Councilmember Leifeld.
Thank you, Your Honor. Paige, unlike Councilmember Fulch, who said she loves when you come and speak, I don't, because it means the end of summer. So
It still feels
every time we see you, it's September, October, and it means summer's over. I love what you do down there. You know that. Every time I go down there and all the people that we don't know, that's always a mark to us for how great something is when I can go down to the levee and still run into 100 people I know, but run into all these other people who aren't from town, and I love it, and you do such a great job, but if you could, make the season last a little bit longer for us.
Right.
I mean, who knew it was going to be 90-some degrees in the first week of
know.
October? So
Well, we
keep
have our
up-
Paws in
yeah.
the Park event on Thursday. So.
Thursday. Which event is that?
It's at our Rivertown Dog Park. It's our
Okay.
Paws in the
Yep.
Park event.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Keep up the awesome work, Paige.
Thank
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Leifeld. Councilmember Pembo.
Again, I'd like to say thank you for all you do for us and the city. It's fabulous every time we go down there, and I'm envious. It's like, I wish there were more weekends that there could be more activities, and Councilman Leifeld said, it's the end of the year. Yeah, it's the end of the season. But my question is, the rentals, are they weddings? What's the number of, is that a big issue, or is there family reunions, or what is it that drives people to rent?
Yeah, we see a variety. Celebration of lives, family reunions, class reunions, birthday parties, wedding showers, Also community events, so Relay for Life just happened this previous weekend, and then of course Rivertown Live and Rivertown Days, and the weekends really fill fast with those community events, so we see about 50-50 with private rentals, so family reunions, and then public events like Relay for Life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pemble. Councilmember House.
Thank you. Yeah, Paige, I would just like to echo all council members here saying it's been amazing to see the work that you do and that the Parks and Rec Department does. Every year I get to go to fund more events and to share that with everyone, and it's really, really awesome to see. And it's also really nice to see, I've seen and I've heard from quite a few business owners in town too, who are happy that there's so many more events happening in town. It's bringing in business for them, so it also supports our local shops and businesses, and I just love all the multicultural events that you're bringing as well. And I just encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, and I love everything that you do, so let us know how we can help as well.
Yeah, and I of course, am open to communication all year round, taking feedback from the community, but also coworkers, friends, family, and then our commission. So council members, feel free to reach out to me anytime throughout the year if you have any ideas. We get hundreds of submissions, and I'm not even exaggerating, hundreds of organizations and businesses in performance groups and music bands interested, and I just kind of pop them into a folder, and then I review in November and December for our upcoming year. So I'm always open to ideas.
Thank you, Councilmember House. Councilmember Fox.
Thank you, Your Honor. Paige, you are a wonderful asset to our community. Thank you for all of your hard work. When I've been at some of the makers markets, which I know was like co-facilitated, right, the music in the park and then the makers market by Maddie, but it's so fun to watch our departments work together like that, and I think it really speaks to the partnerships you facilitate, both with the vendors, with the musicians, with the performers, with other members of park staff, but also with businesses locally. I think Councilmember House made a really great point. It's like my favorite thing when you drive downtown and can't find a parking spot. So you can quote me on that, but no. But thank you for everything that you do and all of the labor of love that you put into it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Fox. I will add to that all the kudos that you've heard. Paige, you're a joy to be down there, and every time I see you down there, you're working hard, but you always have a smile on your face. And I think that projects who you are, and you're just so welcoming to everyone. So thank you for all you've done. 9,700 people with 3 rain days. I mean, you're going to hit that 10,000 next year.
I know.
You know, the night I remember the most is I think there was 1,000 people there. Was it the?
Elton John tribute.
Yes. I mean, just to see the people there. And that was the beginning. That was like one of the very first Thursdays. After that, I think the word got out and it exploded. So even the Tuesdays, performances in the park, I mean, everything is just being well attended. So thank you for all your hard work. And
Absolutely.
again, thank you to all the sponsors who allow us to be able to do this at the gem of the rivers. So, yeah. Thanks, Paige, for the update.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, tonight under administration, we have Dan Waticha will give us an update on budget pre-authorization. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We've done this the last few years. I think financially, it makes a lot of sense and it's responsible. It was forced on us by COVID and the economy and just really the difficulty of acquiring some equipment and some that still hangs on. But I think if council is comfortable with these proposals, it's a good thing. These are all capital items. They're in the proposed 2024 budget, so it won't be voted until December and final till December. So encourage, if there's something on the list that you're not ready for, speak up and let's pull it off. We can wait or get additional information if there's a question. But these items are on here because they've got long lead times. The Zamboni can be up to a 12-month wait. Can we start that wait now instead of waiting till January? They're, particularly with vehicle purchases, they have real short windows to order and sometimes short notice. So here's the week that you can order this vehicle. Doesn't even mean you'll get it, but we'd like to at least be able to get our name on the list and hope that we can get some of these vehicles and equipment that are in short supply. And some of the items, such as the tractor and mower that's on there, we know either by talking with vendors or by experience, this is something that's going to have a price increase the first of the year, or even I think that the tractor might be in November. So much prefer that we save some dollars on that by ordering those now. So really, that's the reason behind these items. I can certainly talk to any of them. One item I want to point out that's not on the list, but expect we'll see in 2 weeks on the meeting on the 16th is the ladder truck. It's not even part of the proposed 24 budget. It's probably 25 or maybe 26. It's got a real lead time. But we're getting pricing, sort of the quote for it, and based off of that, we'll be bringing that as a second separate pre-authorization request in a couple of weeks. It's just not quite ready. But these are the items requested now. They are a commitment for the 24 budget ahead of it being finalized, but it's in order to meet practical needs to begin the process and in some cases actually save money. With that, I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions, council? Well, Councilmember Fulch?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question about the building department vehicle for $35,000. Several years ago now, the city had done a fleet study to identify those vehicles that were ripe for conversion to an electric vehicle, and the building department vehicle was one of them for the inspectors to use. I know someplace I have in my files that report as to what it was that they were recommending as an electric vehicle for that purpose. I can't remember if it was like an Outlander hatchback or something like that. But it is something that the council has asked for the last few years, for a conversion to electric vehicles where it makes sense. And so I see that $35,000 was requested here, but it doesn't say exactly what vehicle it is that is going to be used for the replacement. And so my question is, what is the intention of that vehicle there?
Thank you, Councilmember. You're right. It's been a couple of years since I looked at the Fleet Karma report. I don't recall specific vehicles in that. Don't question your recollection. I have not looked at it recently. This vehicle, probably not at 35,000, is not. Back up. This vehicle is not specifically identified what the replacement would be. It's a matter of there's a need to replace this vehicle and bring in a new one to the fleet. The 35,000 in the proposed budget is assuming it is not electric, but at the same time, it's not identifying a specific vehicle, so it has the potential that it could look at electric, but I don't think that the electric would come in at that 35,000. It'd probably be something higher.
Well, I'll follow up to that. I don't feel comfortable in authorizing that particular vehicle without knowing what the details are, only because it's a matter of principle that continued for so long to be making this request. And I know that was a vehicle that was specifically identified as one that was ripe for conversion to an electric vehicle. And so I would like to know specifically what it is that's being proposed and to know that we are we are doing our due diligence and doing that kind of analysis, to save operational costs over time, because that particular vehicle was one where it did make financial sense in the long run, that it was more cost effective to convert it into an electric vehicle rather than a traditional combustion engine. And, I know that pickup trucks are hard to find. And so that I buy into with the longer lead times. But if they're not identifying what kind of vehicle type it is, I don't buy into the fact that it has a long lead time at this time. So I would make a motion to remove that particular item from the pre-approval of selected items without not knowing more about it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Fulch. Councilmember Fox.
I would second that motion. I agree. It's something we've been talking about and putting our horses behind, no pun intended, for a while. And I think if we can make a move on it, we should. So I support that motion and will vote in favor of it.
Okay. Well, I'll just add, I'm thankful that you're being fiscally responsible and being proactive, because these items are hard to get and they do need the lead time. So I'd ask for a motion to approve without the building department's vehicle for $35,000.
Well, I think when.
Councilmember Fulch?
Yeah.
Matter of clarification, I think when you have a first and a second on a motion, you have to first take a vote on that, don't you? And then you could take a vote on the rest of the matter, but.
This is a point of clarification. How do we adequately support this one motion and then the other?
For clarification, could we repeat the motion?
Yes, ma'am. It was to remove the building department vehicle for $35,000 from this pre-approval of selected items.
Then that would be the motion that needs to be acted on first before you would move the rest of the resolution.
Okay. Councilmember Fulch? Yes. Okay, all those in favor of the motion of taking out the building department vehicle for $35,000, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion, state by saying nay. That motion prevails. Now, the rest of the list, I'd like a motion to accept. Councilmember Pemble.
I move that we accept that exclusion for the building department, and I move that forward as a motion.
Okay, and Councilmember Liefeld second. Any discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. 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 Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Okay, tonight we have a resolution to support the state bonding for city projects. And council, it was on the Diaz, what we added to the agenda. Dan, you can give us an update, please.
Thank you. Occasionally, we have to act somewhat quickly. Did not, as of a couple days ago, had not expected this to be on the council agenda, but conversation with state on Thursday, which was packet day, it was just too quick for us to act. So I'm glad that you very much appreciate that you were willing to add this to the agenda this evening. The main piece to this is adding a project to our state bonding request. If you recall, back in June, we put in 3 requests. One was for half of the Civic Arena project, which is the refrigeration and West Rink roof. Also a request for PFAS treatment, and then the third was to fill a gap on the expected cost of the Highway 61 project. The one we'd like to add is the City Hall Dome project. And this actually had funding through the state a couple of years ago in 2020's capital budget. We have gone to bid 3 times for this project. The first 2 times, we had no interest, 0 bids on the dome. In both cases, we took feedback from contractors or potential contractors, made adjustments to the project and what to bid, and some of that we also needed to get permission from the state in order to make those adjustments. Third time we bid it, we had one bidder for the dome portion. And unfortunately, when looking at the actual bid costs across all parts of the project, it's $1.5 million over budget, without any sort of contingency about what happens when we start peeling back the layers and finding what's in this historic old building. Estimating, based off of some feedback by the architect and the contractor, taking a 7% contingencies, another $300,000. So basically looking at $1.8 million above and beyond what we were expecting for this project. A lot of the feedback we're getting is just there's, broadly speaking, more projects than there are workers. So they're real picky about where they're going and wanting to make sure that they're appropriately profitable. The contractor that we'll be bringing forward at a future meeting for contract, some fantastic references and love to work with them, but we're needing to come up with some additional money. So this resolution would allow us to add a fourth project to our state capital budget request. The other aspect that the state looks at is the locally ranked order of preference. So if we're asking for 4 projects, what's first on our list, what's second on our list, and on down. I want to be upfront, the number one project for Hastings is the PFAS treatment, but we are pursuing, certainly not guaranteed, but we're pursuing several other funding options for that. So based off of that, as well as some timing, the resolution, the recommendation is to put the arena as number 1, the dome is number 2, basically because those are more immediate needs and don't have other funding options other than coming up with the money locally. So that's the resolution. It adds the dome project. Expect that we'll make some other updates on the other projects. For example, the original cost estimate on the PFAS has come in higher than what we had estimated this spring, and putting them in that ranked order of arena first, dome, PFAS, and then Highway 61 coming up fourth. Take any questions, and recognize we also had a little bit of a preview for this during our legislative workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion, council? Councilmember Fox?
Thank you, Dan. I want to be clear, the reason we don't have discussion right now is because we all did discuss and share the idea that this was a really great proposal and that the hard work that Dan put into it is important to our community, with all of us also acknowledging, as Dan mentioned, that PFAS is our number 1 priority. So with that, I'd like to move to approve this resolution in support of the state bonding for the City of Hastings projects.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Fox. Councilmember Fultz, second. New or additional discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion, state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Council members, any announcements? Okay, I have a few. As the year is ending, we lessen the announcements. The Hastings Arts and Culture Commission is hosting a creative convergence on Thursday, October 5th, for the artists to network, learn, share, and collaborate. The event is provided in partnership with ArtSpace and HPAC. Pause in the Park is Thursday, October 5th at Rivertown Dog Park. October is National Community Planning Month. Each extra appreciation to Community Development Director John Hinsman and his staff. In recognition of National Fire Prevention Week, the Fire and EMS Department's open house is Tuesday, October 10th. Meet the departments, learn about fire safety, and see the trucks and equipment. All ages are welcome. Recycling can be confusing, even for the most environmental conscious. This is Crash Course provides the lowdown and where our recycling goes, why it seems like there's so many rules, and why it's worth the work. Learn tricks and tips to recycle, write and have your questions answered by industry professionals on Tuesday, October 10th. Meetings coming forward, Monday, October 9th, 7 p.m. a Planning Commission, 7 p.m. Utilities Committee. Wednesday, October 11th, 6 p.m. Arts and Culture Commission. Thursday, October 12th, 6 p.m. HEDRA. Monday, October 16th, 7 p.m. City Council regular meeting. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Pamela, Councilmember House. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. We are adjourned.